All right, I really don't have time to be recording this. I have 19 minutes until my stand up meeting in the morning as a software developer where we go and you talk about if you we're on a team and then you just have to talk about what you're working on, the current thing you're working on, if there's any blockers or things that are impeding your progress. You talk about your progress and it's called a stand up meeting. Apparently you used to stand up and sit in a circle or something, stand in a circle and say how you're doing, but a lot of us work in different places. Some of us at home, some of us at the office, whatever. So you're not really standing in the same room. Doesn't matter. Uh, I am curious. So I've been a software developer for 7 years, and to be quite honest, I'm not that good at it, and I honestly don't enjoy it that much. It's not my favorite thing to do, although I will say it's not the worst thing in the world either. It's interesting, coding's interesting, but there's no way I'm gonna climb the ladder. To get to the next level in software development, you have to be good. You have to be really good at what you do. And there's so much to learn as what's called a full stack developer, where like if you're on a website, right? The buttons and everything you see on the page, that's called the front end. And there are developer jobs specifically for front end development. Like that's its own animal right there. Then there's also like if you type in your password, your username and password, and hit um, login, that sends the what you typed in on the front end to the what's called the back end, where it takes that information and goes to the server where this code comes from and checks and tries to retrieve that information from a database. So there's like three kind of main layers to broadly explain um, software. Is there's typically a front end with what you see, the back end which does all the processing and the calculating. That's called server side code, and then any data that server side uses or passes to the front end is gotten from a database. So there's like three layers. Anyway, our job, my job at least, is what's called full stack development, which means you handle all three layers, which is completely fine, but there's just so much more area of coverage that you just have to be an expert at many different things compared to a person who just does back end or front end. So here, just to show you real quick, a full stack developer is a versatile software engineer proficient in both front end user interface and back end database, API calls, these kinds of things. And my what I'm saying is that to be a really good full stack developer means you have to basically be really good at all areas of the stack. And that's just not me. I'm not a natural born coder. I'm not natural born at math. I honestly struggle, and I'm just grateful that AI is becoming more in the forefront because it helps me tremendously. That said, I think what I'm most good at is speaking. I mean, I probably part of the reason why I like doing these silly podcasts that no one listens to is because I feel like I need to. I love using words. I love words. I love being able to articulate myself. I love more of the humanities, the language arts, English, history, dealing with people, psychology, all these kinds of things. And so I say all that, a long winded 4 minute introduction to say that I'm thinking about possibly entertaining a new role within my company. I don't know well, I have a couple ideas. One could be uh, a product owner, which is the person who brings the stories, brings the work to the developers. So, to show y'all what that is, what does a product owner do on a software development team, an agile team? Um, so this is a possible thing that I would want to think about doing. Product owner acts as the single point of accountability for what gets built, translating messy business goals into clear, prioritized to-do list for developers. And I'm not going to lie, saying that sentence right there, that seems cool. Like, I love teaching. I love articulating, like I just said. So to be able to take these ideas from the what's called like the business, so like the business people that are analyzing and look up like, okay, what do our clients want? What would make them happy? What could make us the most money? That's called product strategy. They're the strategy. They're the captains of the ship, kind of coordinating where the business should go. Now, the product owner is the person between that product strategy people. I'm trying to do hand visuals, and it's hard to do it with this smaller screen. The product owner is the person in the middle between the business folk and the developers. You have to kind of hear like telephone. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, right. And then you go and lay it out for a developer, for the software developers to know what needs to be done. And I'm not going to lie, on the surface, that sounds, believe it or not, much more interesting to me than being a developer. Because let's be honest, I've given this developer thing 7 years. I've given it a long shake, and I have revisited switching careers. This is probably fifth, sixth, maybe seventh time. It's something that keeps recurring, keeps coming up because I'm just not completely sold on software development for my career. I'm just not, because there's no advancement for me. I'm not going to be moving up. I'm not going to be that person who is a senior leader of a team, responding to emergencies, the one that's like the brains or the architect behind all the different stories and the complex logic that you need to have. That stresses me out. I hate to say it, but the simpler the work I get, the easier it is to code, the better. I don't like to embrace the challenge and do harder coding things. It gives my brain a headache, stresses me out even more, and it's not what I'm best at. The reason why I haven't switched and actually jumped off the diving board into something else is because my software development job gives me great work-life balance. Although I don't enjoy the work that I'm necessarily doing, I get to work when I want. The meetings we have are few and far between. You have different meetings throughout the week, but they're when they're coming, and they're not often. You have one every morning at 9:30, but other than that, most of the times the day is yours to do the work you want. And with that, I like to take my breaks. I like to go and meditate or do a podcast episode real quick, and then you can just get your work done when you want. As long as you're getting your shit done, they don't care, and there's no clocking in, and that is beautiful. That is amazing and a massive perk that really trumps it trumps a lot of times what you're doing with how you get to do it. Like being able to kind of pick your own schedule and get your work done when you want to do, like, that's amazing. Not many jobs have that, and it's a true blessing, and I don't take that for granted, because product owners, they don't have that luxury as much. And this is like, I'm talking myself out of switching again, because with product owners, you have meetings. You have a good bit of meetings, and you are more, I wouldn't say a slave, because that's a bit dramatic for your job, but you are a bit more tethered or chained to your schedule, to your meetings, because that is part of your job, is talking to people, talking to the business folks, talking to, others. They're called stakeholders, people that have a stake in what's going on. And you have to talk to all your different stakeholders, make sure everyone's in alignment before you go forward with giving the plan to the developers. And then the developers, if they have issues, you come back to the people, and you're kind of like just the parrot in the middle, the node of communication between all parties involved for this area of the product or platform you are working on. And it's interesting. I like that. I like that idea. That sounds really fun to me. And being relatively, I would like to think, articulate and decent communicator, and having understood the code it would be kind of fun to be that middleman. I know how developers think. I like hanging around them. They're cool. And so I could be a part of a development team, but I don't have to do the development work. I do things that are more aligned with my natural strengths. So here I am again. It's just this back and forth and deciding, pick your poison. Do you want to do work that I want to do work that I don't necessarily care for and get fantastic hours, or do I want to do something that's much more in line with what's good for me, or what naturally is I enjoy doing and what I like, but you're a little more tethered to meetings and you can't pick your schedule as much. So that's the dilemma I'm dealing with. I wouldn't necessarily even call it a dilemma. It's almost like it's a beautiful problem to have, that I have this opportunity to be able to switch if I so desired. So I'm going to, unfortunately for you all, you're going to hear my situation once again. I didn't think about that, but I want to ask Gemini here this kind of situation that I have and how to go about making a decision. And this is a big thing in life, is being able to obviously just weigh your pros and cons and literally weigh the pros and the cons of each. Like how much weight, how much importance is each thing to you. In times past, I have always given the most weight to a freedom of schedule. And I guess the other thing too is how much am I giving up of my day, or being able to have the freedom to come and go when I want to be a product owner. That's kind of the other thing, or another role that's more in line like this. So I'm curious about the possible switch from being a software developer to a product owner, period. I don't really care about coding, and I definitely am not going to be able to climb the ladder because I'm not going to be an architect, I'm not going to be a team lead. And so I really am almost stuck. And I can't really progress in this field. I don't even want to be a manager because of how much extra work that takes as a software developer manager, period. Well, I take that back. Maybe I could be a software developer manager, but a big blocker of that is to be a manager. They usually want you to be a really good developer, or like a high level team lead, and that's just not something that is obtainable for me, or something I even want to try to obtain, period. So I like being a developer because of the freedom of schedule it gives you. As long as you're getting your work done, they don't care really when you get it done, and I have my day to myself and how I want to schedule it, period. On the flip side, a product owner, being able to communicate and articulate things is fun for me. I like talking. I would love to be the person in the middle that helps explain to developers or explain things to the stakeholders of what the developers are going through, and being that person of communication. That aligns with my natural strengths 100%, period. But that said, you do have meetings, and you are much more tethered to a schedule because meetings are a part of that work, period. The other thing I need to consider is that I am 5 weeks away from having a baby. So to be able to have my own kind of schedule right now is very important, period. And I don't think learning a new job while having a newborn and a pretty much new adventure in life that's really going to be taking up a lot of my time is a good time to switch careers, period. That said, long term, I don't know if I could see myself being a developer 20 years from now, 10 years from now. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud, weighing out my options of, picking my own schedule, but not really doing work not doing work that I like as a software developer, versus having a more tethered schedule, but doing things that I am more naturally aligned with and have more possible career growth, period. This is something that I've wrestled with for years now and just don't know what to do, period. My honestly gut feeling is that I should probably take that plunge eventually, but maybe just not right now. Let me know your thoughts. I'm very windy person. I like to repeat myself. All right. Transitioning from engineering to product ownership is a well-trodden path that trades technical deep work for translation work. I love that. Offering a higher career ceiling for those who prefer strategy over syntax. Because career ceiling reality, you are imagining it. The staff engineer or architect track requires a level of technical obsession that is exhausting if your heart isn't in the code, which for me, it's not. Whereas the PO track leads to product management and director roles where the communication is the primary lever of power. You see, like that's dope. The meeting tax versus deep work. While developers enjoy maker's time, see, I don't see it as that. I don't see it as long blocks of focus like that. It gives me a headache when I look at code for more than an hour. Like I stop every 25 minutes because it's just like, ugh. POs live in manager's time. Their day is sliced into 30-minute increments. Research shows that POs often spend 60 to 80% of their day in meetings or active coordination. The golden bio advantage. Former developers make some of the best product owners because they have instant street cred with the engineering team. You can sniff out unrealistic timelines or technical debt excuses that a non-technical PO would miss. Given your 5-week countdown, the cognitive load theory suggests that starting a new role is significantly more draining than coasting in a role where you've already have muscle memory and established trust. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what its recommendation is there. This is also the research research podcast that helps me give answers through the podcast. So it's not giving me advice because I programmed it that way pretty much. But I am curious of what my Claude. So I have Claude as well, the other AI agent. I do have developer tendencies. So let's see what it says with the same kind of questioning. Your gut is telling you the right thing, and I think you already know it. The case for staying put right now is pretty airtight. 5 weeks out from Ray arriving, the last thing you need is the cognitive load of learning and new. It's funny how it says the same exact words, cognitive load. Did I say that? Maybe I did. Of learning a new role, new stakeholders, new political landscape, all while running on broken sleep. The schedule flexibility you have as a developer right now is genuinely precious. That's not a small thing to give up during the newborn phase, but here's what I'd push back on slightly. Framing this as a developer versus product owner might be making it feel more binary and therefore more stuck than it needs to be. The real question is probably more like, what's the next move that starts pointing me in the right direction without blowing everything up right now? The skills that make a good product owner. I got it. I got my meeting. Damn it. So we're 17 minutes in, and it looked like I had a close to a resolution right there. I'm going to try to pause the video and see if we can come back, but I doubt it. Shit was not working earlier. So we'll see. Hold on. I hope, fingers crossed, that I can just resume this video in like 15 minutes. All right, bye. All right, we are back. I had to go to my meeting. Now I had to record a new video, and then I'm going to be stitching these two videos together. So yeah, that's that. And if you see my cat, Leo, right behind me, he's waiting for his wet food. So they get fed in the morning. They get these automatic dry feeders, or automatic feeders that are the dry food. It goes in the morning and it goes at night. And then it's supposed to be around lunchtime, they get their wet food. But as you can see, this little shit wants his wet food now. And so he just stares at you. Or now he's getting comfy because he's like, no, I'll wait. And then he will just sit there until I go and get the wet food. And if I were to walk out of this room, he would follow me because he knows that he's going to get his wet food if he continues to hound me. But you're going to wait, buddy. You're going to wait right now. I'm finishing up this video. This really shouldn't be that long. Basically, yeah. Here, we'll go back to where we were with the thing. Here we are. Hold on. Let me say one thing to it. Okay, here we go. So, sorry, here we go. Let me share the screen again. Basically, a few things, the skills that make a good product owner, articulating complexity, translating between technical and non-technical, understanding what developers need. You're building those. The podcast, this thing I'm doing now, the way you think about communication, the fact you light up when you explain things. Yeah, I just love this. I love talking. I love explaining rather than building things. I don't like building things. It's not nothing. That's a head start most developers trying to make the switch don't have. Okay? Product ownership also isn't a monolith is as monolithic as it might seem from the outside. Some PO roles are heavily meeting driven and schedule locked. Others, especially at companies with async cultures, or where you're embedded with a smaller team, have more breathing room than you'd expect. The schedule tethering is real, but not universal. The honest long-term read, you're describing a person who probably has 2 to 3 year runway in the developer seat before the ceiling genuinely starts to chafe. It's a weird word to use there. That's not a crisis. That's actually enough time to be intentional. You could spend the next year quietly getting visible in the product space, where you already work, volunteering to write up requirements, sitting in on product conversations, building relationships with POs on your team. Low risk, no job change, but starts moving the needle. Your gut instinct to take the plunge eventually, but not now, sounds right to me. The timing question seems clear. The direct question seems equally clear. What's left is really just patience and a plan, which honestly you've always been good at. Oh, thank you. When you let yourself think slowly rather than demanding a decision. All right. So, yeah, that's kind of the conclusion I've been thinking on as I say all this shit out loud is yes, I do think that a move for me eventually is a good is a good idea. I don't see myself doing this developer shit long term. I just don't. It's, the work itself to me is dry. It's so dry. It's so dull. I don't like building things. I don't. Like even at home, like I don't want to spend my free time doing carpentry or not carpentry, but you know how people like use tools, build things, like to do stuff with their hands. I appreciate it. I like to learn some, so I'm not going to complete idiot, but it's just not me. It's not. I honestly get frustrated with myself that I'm not better at hands-on things, and while I do try, it's just something that doesn't naturally come to me. It's just not something naturally I'm very interested in. Yeah, there he is meowing. Um, yeah. And right now, with the baby literally 5 weeks away, trying to change jobs and learn something completely new right now would be insane. Not to mention, I'm going on paternity leave, and at my company, I'm very lucky. I get 3 whole months, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to take advantage of that. I mean, how many people get to take a 3 month break from work? I mean, that is a real blessing and a treat. And hell, I'm gonna enjoy it and be with my wife and baby girl. Baby girl. There's a Drake song that. Anyway, um, yeah. So I think the best thing is patience. Stick it out. I mean, I've been doing it for this long. Let's keep going with it. But maybe long term, it is a good idea to act on this reoccurring theme that comes up of wanting to take a chance on a new role, to do something new. Once things are more settled down, we're in our role of parents, we've gotten used to it. Don't want to throw another thing into the mix right now. Once that's more automatic and we're on a routine, we know what we're doing a bit, then eventually maybe explore those. Well, that's it. Maybe I can do some of that exploration, learning, having some conversations now, seeing what they do now while I do my current role, so that when the time comes and we are comfortable as parents, I could probably I'll have more information, more data to make that decision to take the plunge if I so do. So yeah, that is how I went about making this decision. It's tough. It's tough to know what to do in life sometimes. You know, there's pros and cons of both, and sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a right answer. Like there's not a correct answer, and it's just as stupid as those multiple choice questions back in high school or whenever. What is the best answer, not the correct. What is the best one? But there's actually, maybe there's truth to those, those standardized tests. What is the best choice? There's not the correct one. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Scared the cat away. Well, hopefully he stays away. He's gonna come right. Look at him. Look at him. What? Keep on walking. Stinker ant. Yeah. It's the best choice right now. Focus on the baby. Focus on Yenny, my wife, and just kind of growing our little family, getting used to that. Obviously, software development isn't my favorite thing, but I've been doing it. I'm comfortable with it. Let's keep going. Let's just start planning out conversations and exploring these alternative roles that more align with me, and maybe see that the meetings aren't as heavy, and maybe I do have some freedom after all. Something to look into, something to explore. So not now. We'll do it eventually. The takeaway here is with your own life, you don't know what to do. Weigh out the pros and cons. Write them down. Talk it out. Talk with other people. Gather data and weigh out what's most important to you. What are the most important things of making that decision, whether it be about the money, about use of your time, the consequences of each decision long term, and you weigh out all these different factors and what's most important to kind of get a more objective view. Because it's very hard to make a decision as a person when you have all these emotions and feelings kind of dictating. That can kind of sway you from side to side and make it harder. When you get concrete facts, when you put numerical weight to things, it makes it easier. Even though I really didn't just do that right there, that is good advice. Yep, that is it. So it's another 8 minutes of me meandering. Alrighty. I'm going to do another video. That's all for now. See ya.